What if the real danger isn't failure, but staying loyal to a path that quietly stopped being yours a long time ago? Most people don't quit because things are hard. They quit because they're tired of not seeing progress. And yet some people never quit, even when they should. They keep pushing, grinding, forcing something that no longer fits, like trying to unlock a door with the wrong key, just because they've already spent years holding it. So here's the question that almost no one teaches you how to answer. When do you keep going? And when do you change direction? Imagine you're climbing a mountain. You're exhausted, your legs are shaking, the air is getting thinner. Part of you wants to stop, but then another voice inside you says, this is what growth feels like. Keep going. Now imagine something slightly different. You're climbing, but this time you suddenly realize you've been scaling the wrong mountain entirely. Same exhaustion, same struggle, but a completely different truth. In one case, pushing forward is courage. In the other, it's blindness. That's the tension between pivoting and quitting. And most people confuse the two. Quitting is often emotional. It comes from frustration, fear, and patience. It sounds like this is too hard, or maybe I'm not good enough. Pivoting, on the other hand, is thoughtful. It's strategic. It sounds like this isn't working, but what can I learn from this? One is escape. The other is evolution. But here's where it gets complicated. Pain exists in both paths. Continuing hurts. Changing direction hurts. So pain alone can't be your compass. You need something deeper. Think about why you started in the first place. Not the surface level goal, but the underlying desire. Maybe you started a business because you wanted freedom. Maybe you pursued a career because you wanted respect. Maybe you chased a dream because you wanted to prove something to yourself. Now ask yourself honestly, is the path you're on still taking you toward that deeper reason? Or are you just attached to the idea of not giving up? There's a quiet trap in persistence. We glorify it so much that we forget it can turn into stubbornness. And stubbornness disguised as discipline can keep you stuck for years. The Stoics believed in focusing on what you can control. And sometimes what you can control isn't the outcome. It's the direction you choose next. Look at nature. A river doesn't quit when it hits a rock. It doesn't say, I guess I'm not meant to reach the ocean. It simply adjusts. It flows around, over, or even through obstacles over time. The goal remains. The path changes. That's a pivot. So how do you know what to do when you're standing at that crossroads? Start by asking better questions. Not, is this hard? But is this meaningful? Nah, am I tired? But am I growing? Not, what will people think if I stop? But what will happen to me if I don't change? Pay attention to your energy. Not just physical energy, but emotional energy. Are you drained because you're pushing your limits? Or because you're forcing something that doesn't align anymore? There's a difference between being challenged and being misaligned. One expands you, the other slowly erodes you. Also look at your progress. Not just external results, but internal shifts. Are you learning? Are you becoming sharper, wiser, more capable? Or are you repeating the same patterns, hitting the same walls, feeling the same frustration month after month? Because here's the truth. Staying on the same path only makes sense if it's leading somewhere worth going. And if it's not, then changing direction isn't failure. It's intelligence. The world might tell you don't quit, but the wiser message is this. Don't abandon your purpose. Just be willing to redesign your path to reach it. So take a breath. Zoom out. Look at your life not as a single decision, but as a series of adjustments. You're not locked in. You're not stuck. You're allowed to evolve. And maybe, just maybe, the strength you've been proud of, the ability to keep going, is now asking you to become something even greater. The ability to let go, rethink, and begin again with clarity. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't to keep climbing. It's to step back and choose a better mountain. Now here's where it gets real. Because knowing all this doesn't make the decision easier. It just makes it clearer. And clarity can be uncomfortable. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. You might realize you've spent years chasing something that doesn't excite you anymore. You might feel the weight of sunk time, effort, expectations. You might hear voices in your head saying, "What if you regret this?" Or, "What if starting over makes everything worse?" But let's flip that for a second. What if not changing is the real regret? What if 5 years from now you look back and realize you stayed out of fear, not conviction? Fear will show up either way. If you continue, you'll fear wasting more time. If you pivot, you'll fear the unknown. So fear can't be your decision maker. It has to be something deeper than that, something more grounded. Try this. Instead of thinking in terms of winning or losing, think in terms of alignment. Does your current path feel aligned with who you're becoming? Not who you were, not who others expect you to be, but who you are right now in this moment. Because growth changes you, and sometimes the path that once fit you perfectly no longer does. There's a quiet wisdom in knowing when to walk away. Not out of weakness, but out of awareness. Not because you couldn't handle it, but because you understand yourself better now. At the same time, don't underestimate the power of staying. Some things take time, a lot of time. And in a world obsessed with quick results, we often quit too early. We mistake slow progress for no progress. We expect clarity before commitment, when in reality clarity often comes after you've stayed consistent through the uncertainty. So here's a practical way to look at it. If the path still aligns with your deeper purpose, if you're learning, adapting, and growing, even if it's slow, then keep going. Be patient. Refine your approach. Adjust your methods, not your mission. But if the path feels forced, if you're no longer growing, if the only thing keeping you there's fear, pride, or the idea of not wanting to waste what you've already invested, then it might be time to pivot. Not because you failed, but because you're evolving. And remember, pivoting doesn't mean starting from zero. You carry everything you've learned with you. Every mistake, every lesson, every skill becomes part of your new direction. Nothing is wasted unless you refuse to learn from it. Life isn't a straight line. It's more like a series of experiments. Some work, some don't. But each one teaches you something valuable if you're paying attention. So give yourself permission to experiment, to try, to adjust, to change your mind. You're not here to prove that you can stick to one path forever. You're here to build a life that actually feels meaningful. And that requires both courage and curiosity. The courage to keep going when it's hard, and the curiosity to ask, is there a better way? Balance those two, and you'll never truly be lost. Before you go, take a moment to reflect. Where in your life are you holding on? And where might you need to adjust? Are you pushing through growth or resisting change? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share your experience. Someone out there might be standing at the same crossroads, and your story could be exactly what they need to hear.